So I'm starting this reading now. One. It's only going along. Just from a. I'm just asking when you Zoom, go somewhere and they ask people, what do you Zoom? You say, I work at the club. Is that all you say? Is that like a hopscotch or one club?
Yeah, people are like, what's up?
Yeah, that's more than just
Yeah.
we do reference just to club right off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that you interpreted several different ways, right?
Yeah.
I get this summary.
If they do anything, if we put anything on, it would just be honest.
That's all I get. Yeah.
I don't.
So people,
I don't plan on pouring through it.
no, okay. So people know what we're talking about. So
Putting something on, what's putting on?
I'm just showing it on the YouTube on the screen. So,
Oh,
I had a back down to eat tonight. Boys game, and then lightning bolt on the way home. Yeah. Not like timing won't be off.
So you had my. Here.
All right,
And so I hope that.
yeah, hope you can time travel through it.
Yeah. No, I heard. Yeah. I just decided which vehicle I should take for that. And get the. Hail that sound with EVs.
Yeah, exactly.
That should take time.
Yeah, I talked to one board member, Dave, there was a dorm resident. He said, well, I'm going home to get my area rig because I'm not gonna use my expensive pickup for a volunteer gig to get the other thing.
Yeah.
All right, good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. We'll call the meeting of the Board of the Codington County Commissioners to order. Today is Tuesday, June 9th, 9 a.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Gable.
what do we flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reminder to please silence your cell phones so they don't disrupt the meeting this morning. Call for public comments can be submitted in person or by telephone by calling 605-882-6248 or 605-882-6297. Commissioners, any conflict of interest items this morning?
No.
Hearing none, we will move on to item number.
Mr. Chair, no, Commissioner Schwer is trying to join by Zoom, so we'll see if it works or not.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware.
Okay, just turn your mic on there, Myron, if you would for me. All right, item number 4 is action to approve the June 9th agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by McElhaney, second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is action to approve the June 4th minutes.
so move.
Motion by Johnson, second by McElhaney. Discussion on the minutes at all? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 is an update on the diversion program with Lewis Canfield, who is the Director of Youth Diversion at the Boys and Girls Club in Watertown, and we welcome him with us this morning. Good morning, Lewis.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. Yes, just wanted to give you a brief update, if I may, on we're wrapping up our fiscal year for the youth diversion program, JDAI, Juvenile Diversion Alternatives Initiative, that runs the calendar year, January through December. And actually, we'll start with detention data here. If you look at the chart here, you'll see in 2017, when we started taking on youth diversion and JDAI, we had an average daily population at the jail for juveniles of 1.4. Made a pretty big impact on those numbers by putting some alternatives to detention in place. Obviously, you can see that we had an increase here, especially in 2025, at 1.5. So, and then obviously that's going to reflect in the average length of stay which we're at. We made some significant progress in reducing our average length of stay for our juveniles from 7.8 into the fours and threes. And again, 2025 is a much higher year. So obviously, I questioned that, and I wanted to share what my reasoning was for that, or why I think that is. And as you see the note there, it says an increase in ADP and average length of stay were influenced by several youth with more significant felony level charges who required longer detention stays while awaiting court proceedings or placement. So I guess the way that I put that, and I talked with Matt Blackwelder more about this, is those numbers are higher because the juveniles that are in the jail are the ones that really do need to be there. They're the ones that are realistically, there was an attempted murder situation this last year, and then some significant aggravated assault situations. So a small number of youth that do need to be detained. Those are kids, obviously, they're not going to work with me in the youth diversion program. When you have those level offenses, those are going to move on to bigger consequences and accountability. Question?
Just to clarify what, if people are watching, Mr. Chair, if it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this is so we average less than 2 juveniles in the jail. That's what this means. I mean, at any given time, usually it's less than one person. So that's what we're talking about here. So, and I think I appreciate your explanation on the length of stay as well. So.
Yep.
One and a half persons.
One and a half.
I mean, which is compared to years ago, it's progress.
It is progress, very much so. Another thing that I attribute that increase to is we do alternatives to detention. So let's say a juvenile has an offense where it may require detention or may not, kind of a mid-level situation. Instead of them being detained for a period of time until they see the judge, we sometimes offer an alternative to detention, where they're placed on an ankle monitor, they're on house arrest, they check in with me or Miranda. It depends on the situation, but the judge will put on different stipulations as far as them to be out of the detention center. But essentially what we're doing at that point is we're making sure that they're able to be a part of the community, get to school, maintain a job, and also not reoffend. And we have 10 kids right now that are currently on conditions of release. So that's 10 kids that could be sitting in the jail for a short period of time, but instead they're being monitored and doing well in the community.
Right.
And we'll flip the page there and look at our update on specifically youth diversion data. And again, when we started in fiscal year 20, we had 143 referrals. We had a significant increase in the first 4 years. Big part of that was taking tobacco and vape citations into diversion as opposed to just having them pay the fee. And I know I've expressed, we had we had over 100 referrals just for vape alone the year we took them over, and we dropped that down to 50. So still an issue, seeing kids with vapes specifically at the schools, but we've made a really good dent in that. And I say we, it's not just me, it's the community. We're getting them connected to the Project Success program at HSA. They're getting a screening, they're getting some kind of education about the products, in addition to paying a small fee. And if it happens a second time, we have a tiered approach. They might get some community service or a different kind of a consequence on top of that. So, and that goes into that fourth and final chart there. Actually, before I get to there, there's a quick little graph or some data there as far as the completion for this fiscal year. The 386 youth we have that have been referred to us this year. We have so far 266 have been successful, 39 unsuccessful, 81 still in progress, with a completion rate of 87%. So what that means is for a short period of time, the diversion program is just 90 to 120 days. For that period of time, the kids they follow their plan. And the plan is different based on the situation. So if you come in for substance use, you're going to do a screening that could lead to an evaluation. If you come in for destruction of property, that's going to maybe lead to a mental health evaluation that could lead to the MRT program, and those things take time. But essentially 87% of the time the kids complete their program successfully. Doesn't mean we won't see them again. Sometimes we do see them a second or third time as they're juveniles. But we're seeing some good progress with our programs.
It's great.
And so for the,
Come a long ways.
yeah, so for the successful completion, the state gives us the JGRI money. Can you talk to that?
I certainly can. Yep. So the state does provide funds. Right now, it's at the rate of $750 per successful completion. Those dollars traditionally have been passed back to the Boys and Girls Club upon request, and we've been able to continue our program. We've been able to, because of the increase in numbers, we've been able to add another full-time staff member, and we're able to continue to operate. It also works really great being a part of the Boys and Girls Club. There are certain times when younger kids just need a positive place to be, and we can get them connected with staff there. So those funds help offset some costs of staffing.
Louis, what is the state's definition of a successful completion?
Successful completion is it's determined by us, our county, our court approved program. So
Okay.
we meaning our state's attorney's office, Carrie Leifert, she does a report annually. And we remove the names, but it's a list of cases, a list of kids that started the program and completed the program successfully.
So there's no matrix. It's based on individual.
Yeah, there's some question there because sometimes a kid will get charged for 3 or 4 different things at one time. So we will not count that at the state level as 4 different completions.
Okay.
It's going to be counted as one incident. So there's a little bit of I don't want to call it confusion, but there there are situations where you might be able to charge or count a juvenile twice within the calendar year if maybe they had a successful completion and they reoffended and had another opportunity. But I would say it's more situations. It's complete successful situations.
Thank you.
Yep, good question.
Commissioners, any other questions?
No, thank you.
The offenses, I didn't have to stick with it.
I didn't get to the offenses. So you'll see there, I like to keep track of what our top offenses are. These are not everything, but I like to keep this chart up to date. We meet as a JDAI collaborative every quarter. That's me. Lee attends these. Commissioner Gable, sorry. Our judge, law enforcement, mental health professionals, school staff. It's a group that gets together once a quarter and talks about juveniles and what we're seeing and where we need to focus our attention. So for example, you'll see simple assault is up there. A year or two ago, simple assault was number 1. It was trending higher than everything. Again, it's still an issue, but we try to use the data to make decisions. In that particular case, we met with HSA staff and we created an emotional regulation group. So those kids that are struggling with their aggressive behavior, we're getting them connected to an emotional regulation group and starting to see some positives in that remark. Same thing with tobacco. Tobacco was off the charts and we took it over, as I mentioned, it was over 100 the first year. Now with some interventions, we're at 50, still an issue. But we're trying the best we can to, and you'll see that back up to that chart above, 476 was our peak referrals in fiscal year 24. Now we're starting to see a downward trend in referrals. So I take that as a positive sign that, again, I don't know exactly why that is. I'd like to think that our program is effective. It's working. I think kids are less likely to reoffend because they know that there's going to be some accountability. I hope that's the case. So I'll keep you guys posted as these numbers continue to move.
All right. Sounds good.
Good information.
Thank you. And with that, oh, sorry, should I jump to the next one or no?
Yeah, we'll move on to item number 7 now. This is discussion possible action to authorize application for the DOC RED funding by the Boys and Girls Club.
Yep. So this is the Racial and Ethnic Disparities Grant that we have received funding for the past 2 years. We have the opportunity to apply for 3 years total. So we'd like to continue that grant. It's about just over $19,000. And that funds a portion of my salary. It funds consultation with some of our Native American advisors to come in and do some cultural programming with our specifically our Native youth. We wrote this a couple years ago because we were seeing an overrepresentation of that youth in diversion, and their success rate was significantly lower than their counter juveniles. So we have about 20% of our population is Native American youth. Um, so what we've done is we've trying to find, essentially what we're doing is we're trying to find alternatives to their diversion plan. We want these kids to get connected with their culture and be successful, not reoffend. So the strategy is to get them connected with the tribe and impose some positive programming. Specifically, what we've done is Native American Club, where they meet monthly at the schools and during the summer. We do Talking Circle with Skyman Red Day. He comes once a month to the Boys and Girls Club, and the kids get together and just learn about culture and learn about the history and learn about language and just connect with each other. And we've seen some positive with that as well. So the funds would help us continue to operate that program. And again, it's our third year. So back to what Commissioner Gable's talking about, those diversion incentive funds. Once we're unable to apply for this grant again, similar to when we couldn't apply for the court resource home grant last year, we should be able to continue to operate this program with those dollars.
Move to approve. Motion by
Second.
Betson, second by McElhaney to approve, to authorize application for that grant. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair, as you heard, Mr. Schwer failed it.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. Commissioner
Thank you.
Schwer, I'm not sure at what point you joined the meeting this morning. Can you advise?
About 9:06.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pretty specific.
Yeah, it's pretty loud. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Keep up the good work. We appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. Right, let's move on to item number 8. This is discussion with Travis Paulson about J&J Earthworks gravel pit in Elmira Township. Morning, Travis.
Morning.
Morning.
You can go ahead and begin.
All right. So I just wanted to come before the commission this morning and discuss, I guess, this project and the outlying details that surround this and the history behind this project. I guess I am a little bit late to the party here, to be honest, and so I'm not fully up to speed with this, what's going on fully with this project, I guess. But I dealt with I don't know if it was a year or 2 years ago. The other situations on Elmira, so I'm very familiar with that road out there. And I think we worked through those issues as far as the township side. So I'm actually here somewhat representing two different hats. First of all, as you all know, I'm a member of the South Dakota Association of Towns and Townships that represents the townships that are members of our organization in this area. And so it was kind of brought to my attention with Elmira Township, or from Elmira Township, of what's going on with the gravel pit here a while ago. So the concerns, I guess, that I have, I mean, first of all, as I look at the history of the project, and I kind of crammed, I guess, between last night and this morning, trying to catch up on what's going on with it. But it seems, I mean, as I look at the history, there's a long history of violations from J&J with this project, and it's obviously on a township road, which is why I step in. Actually, I don't think I finished my sentence when I said I come with two hats. The other hat I guess I'm wearing is a concerned citizen of Codington County. So that it just doesn't seem quite right the way this is proceeding and playing out. So the long list of violations that go back for a long time, and I guess my concern with the county is are our ordinances, and this is a rhetorical question, I guess, but I mean, are our ordinances appropriate? Do they have enough bite? Because it seems to me that there's a number of violations that have taken place and been formally written, and the same behavior just continues on. And nothing really changes. That's appears to be, but somebody has to correct me if I'm wrong there, but as I go through the paperwork, that's what appears to be going on here, is that we don't have enough bite in our I don't know if it's an ordinance or what you call it, but that we're writing these multiple violations and nothing's changing for the most part. They're changing just enough to keep going is what I'm seeing as somewhat of an outsider. So and then jump forward to the somewhat of a fast track procedure here to annex into the city, which my understanding is that if that would go through and this parcel two of this project, the gravel pit were to be annexed into the city, all these violations would disappear and there would be no, am I correct in that?
I'm,
And maybe.
yeah, so we'll get to you here in a minute,
Yeah,
but
he can-
just
he can address
continue
it.
and then we'll
Yeah,
have
and I'm
our zoning
I'm
officer.
glad to
come
have
up and
to
address.
see Luke here this morning because he can
Yeah.
correct anything that I get that I mistakenly speak on. So,
Yeah.
but that's my understanding is this fast track and to annex into the city. As I read through the codified laws pertaining to annexation, it appears to me that it doesn't even meet the guidelines to be annexed into the city. I mean, it specifically says contiguous property, and that word, as I understand, contiguous does not meet this does not meet the criteria as it jumps, kitty corner or a checker pattern, I think is what it's referred to in the industry. But so to me, I think it would be challenged, and I understand there is case law to challenge it and say that it isn't even going to be, that it will be challenged in my opinion. So I guess those are my concerns that why are these violations continuing and why did they continue to be able to operate? And as I come in on the township side, obviously there's no road haul agreement, which has been requested for quite a while.
Right.
The township wants a road haul agreement, which is, needs to be required from a company like this to protect the township. Townships don't have a lot of dollars to operate and to fix these roads as they're damaged by heavy equipment like this. So a road haul agreement is required and it's not there, but yet they continue to haul out on a daily basis. So I guess in a nutshell, those are my concerns. And my question is, where is the county on this? And I guess maybe just a response to the violations, and Luke can back me up here and answer some of those questions as well. So.
Yeah. So when I seen that you were on the agenda, and I've been following the city's involvement with this during their course of their meetings as well. And so Travis, I'm glad that you're here to ask those questions today. I did reach out to Luke last week and ask him to attend the meeting today to give us some direction on, not really direction so much, but some comments on what actions the county has taken on this and where we're at with that. So
Sure.
I'm glad that you're asking those questions. So Luke, if we can get you up here.
Sure.
As long as they're open.
Morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Luke Muller here, Codington County Zoning Officer. In this respect, as well as in the joint jurisdiction area, I serve on behalf of the City of Watertown and their ordinance number 15-18 and Codington County ordinance number 61. So I'm enforcing both city and county laws at that point. Let's talk, I'm going to go a little bit backwards, addressing first the question you asked about the annexation and what does that do to the violations.
Luke, before you do that, can you give us just a rundown on what the argument is for people that are not familiar with this?
Sure, I'll go the other way here because I wanted to give a little bit of context on enforcement itself on it. Okay. So let's put a pin in the question on what happens after annexation. I want to talk more about how the enforcement of zoning works in the county because there's been some confusion and specifically some comments about the inability to reach the zoning office and things like that. So I just want to make it clear, since 2004, First District Association of Governments has been contracted to serve as the Codington County zoning officer. It started actually with some help from the City of Watertown, who had also requested that as well with some financial help to that. The county saw value in it over time, and ultimately there was no more payment out of the city, which frankly was fair because the city really didn't need to anyway. Over time, what has happened is you get permits. I think that even the township would probably agree that it's tongue-in-cheek, nice way to say it is it's notoriously relatively easy to get a conditional use permit in Codington County. Meet the rules, get a permit. However, if there are violations, we're pretty strict on what happens after those violations. However, we're not out. We have 660 square miles. The zoning office is administered by someone who is sitting in the office specifically for roughly 10 to 12 hours a week. And so we do things on violations. And frankly, in some cases, I think some would say that we maybe even give the applicant the benefit of the doubt. However, we'll go out there and look and check on things. And at that point, that's when we do things. Conversations that go on, sometimes first conversation may happen at the first district office, but they're always told to go ahead and contact the zoning office, because otherwise, at that time, when they come into that office, I'm working on DeSmet or Sisseton or Brookings or Flandreau or Moody County or something like that, and not doing that. So the bottom line is, that's just in a nutshell how that enforcement goes on. In this particular case, as we get there, we had a brief rundown of it. Neighbor came in and said, I think they're mining too close to my property line. Come to find out, mining was happening too close to the property line. It wasn't just a property line, it was a right of way. In inspecting and verifying everything, reviewing the permit itself to verify whether or not more conditions were being violated, it was ultimately found that that permit, which was issued in 2015, expired roughly a month before that person came in and had made that complaint. I would chalk that up probably to coincidence, but the truth is that's what it was. There's been some banter about whether or not, about the idea that the zoning office should notify someone of a permit about to expire. I guess I'll tell you, in the 20-some years we've done that, I've never done that. I've not seen anybody, I've not seen anybody else do that. They may, but I guess we haven't out of the Codington County zoning office. And so from that respect, notified them of the violations and just laid out a groundwork on August, I've got the date here, on August 6th. So admittedly, it was June, got the notification on August 6th. We sent them a letter citing not only the violations, but if you do wind up reading the letter, a pretty clear roadmap as far as, okay, step one, do this, step two, do that. Here's how you see these things. However, until the road itself and the first 65 feet are reclaimed, there should be no gravel hauling out of there. We had actually I had multiple contact from the township in that time frame. However, went out there and inspected, noticed a couple of violations of hauling gravel while that reclamation going on, sent those violations, and that's some of them that Mr. Paulson's referring to on those. And they're forwarded on in that. And then went out there in September after they had reclaimed the 65 feet as well as the road itself, and found that that had been done, so therefore the gravel had been mined. Zoning officer in his interpretation said, go ahead and haul that gravel out if you want to, and sent them a letter notifying them on September 17th, notifying them that the hauling may resume of previously mined materials. However, they can't mine. Answered the question regarding whether piles need to be, and then also outline the process, where to find an application, where to find application deadlines, and all of the rules that would need to be followed. That was September 17th. Finally, on March 11th, I received a phone call from Mr. Paulson, not this Mr. Paulson, from Colin Paulson on behalf of J&J at the Codington County zoning office. Admittedly, he had called the first district office a few times and directed to the Codington County zoning office before that. He got a hold of me on March 11th. Come to find out, he had emailed some information to an email that didn't work, I guess, basically. I didn't have access to it. So forwarded that to me on March 11th, and then forwarded back some information, guidance on how to make application. The application was made March 31st, ultimately passed the deadline for the April meeting, so they had to be on the May meeting, at which point they hauled out the rock crusher prior to having a permit onto their property and started crushing on May 8th and 9th. Were sent a violation letter, and that's where we are with those violations. So ultimately, since the initial order, of which there were violations, since the initial order, there were 4 citations afterwards as well. So what have we done on enforcement of that? We've cited them. Ultimately, those first 2, once they had reclaimed and were allowed to continue hauling, the county did not seek prosecution on those. Because again, in most cases, and I'll describe this, the ultimate goal in zoning, at least as it's been explained to me by state's attorneys, has been for compliance, to obtain compliance with the ordinance and orders of the ordinance. And at that point, they had complied with the order at that point, albeit they had complied and reclaimed as were asked to. However, they did not adhere to the order of not hauling and chalked it up to experience and moved on. These last 2, as they came in, then ultimately the determination of the Joint Board of Adjustment, which has representatives of the County Planning Commission as well as the City Planning Commission, determined that the appropriate punishment was to require them to sit back 2 months without mining or crushing anything out of there. However, hauling previously mined materials was not acted out. I specifically said that they couldn't do. So in the end, that's ultimately what the punishment, I'll say, was determined to be done. So let's go forward from there. I should note there were multiple other conditions placed on that, not the least of which was to obtain a haul road agreement for haul roads to be hauled. I think that's to the point of what Mr. Paulson's here about today as well. One of those conditions was that. And at the time of application, I guess, and I want to point out, J&J did make the point that there was a memorandum of understanding with the city and Elmira Township regarding those roads. I'll admit I didn't have a copy of it, so it wasn't fully in my understanding at that point. After the meeting, it was made clear to our office that there is a memorandum of understanding authorizing basically that the city of Watertown is in charge of maintenance of 3rd Avenue. 3rd Avenue from 31st Street over to 19th Street. Memorandum was also provided in reference to 31st Street from 3rd Avenue down to Highway 212. There is a small portion that's still there from the approach on 31st Street down to 3rd Avenue, in which there is no haul road agreement, nor is there a memorandum of understanding. And that's what's been made clear to me from the township as well, is that they want either a haul road agreement for that or the extension of that memorandum of understanding. And as of Friday, the clerk of Elmira Township notified me that they had not received such any agreement for them to act on.
Are these trucks just hauling on 3rd Avenue then? Are they hauling on 31st Street?
At this point, I don't know which direction, but every truck has to haul that first 400 or 600 feet to get down to there. And
first,
yeah, and to get to the other two.
Right. Okay.
So, and then the other point is, I mean, a logical question is, hey, it's 400 feet, 600 feet, what of it? The truth is, and rightfully so, the township has made the point that they were very specific on a 600-foot stretch for a previous gravel pit in the joint jurisdiction area just a couple of years ago. And they want to be able to treat each entity fairly and the same. And honestly, I think that's probably why the township has made this point of, hey, you guys need to be treating them evenly as well as you would, say, someone else out there. So what happens, last point, regarding the annexation, the request to annex is in front. Sounds like the intent is, at least the request is to annex. The schedule is to hold a public hearing, second reading and action of annexation on June 15th, which is the same date and time as our planning commission meeting at the county. So I won't be able to attend that meeting. the city's one. At which point that'd be a logical time for townships to voice these concerns as well with regards to that. The other point, then at that point, if it's annexed, then that becomes effective after the 20 days after the publication of notice of that fact. Roughly speaking, that's probably going to be in the July 8th plus or minus timeframe. There is scheduled, at least at the last planning commission meeting, was noted that there would be a hearing to get a conditional use permit, presumptive of the annexation taking place, and was noted that they would be, if they proceeded to do any mining, it would be at their own risk. However, it should be noted they would be operating at their own risk of violating a city ordinance as well as a county ordinance in order to do so, if they did ahead of the annexation taking place. From that respect there, I guess from what's left on the county side, I did receive a request from County Planning Commission member that sits on the Joint Jurisdiction Board that is not seated here. Mr. O'Neill requested that the County Planning Commission discuss dissolving the joint jurisdiction zoning ordinance at the Planning Commission meeting. It won't be any ordinance, but he wanted to have a discussion on that. I'll be honest, I'll be trying to defend the joint jurisdiction ordinance as much as possible. But anyway, I just want to make that note that that's basically it. From a standpoint of what the county has for options, and honestly, I'm really kind of in a position trying to ask as well. I can continue citing, which is basically what the ordinance says I need to do. And that's my plan.
Well,
if there's a violation, I continue cite.
it doesn't do us any good to cite if there's no enforcement follow-up.
Right. The one thing I will say, well, I'll go through a couple of these. I can continue to cite these things, these violations as they come up, which is unless instructed by both the city and the county to quit doing that, I'll keep doing it. The county could file some form of injunction. In order to do so, it's likely that in doing so, that would probably, timing, I don't know if that gets into place beforehand, because again, see previous comments about the goal of following requirements of an ordinance. So, third option, naturally, I mean, obviously there's the do nothing strategy. It's the other way. There's also an option to file some form of injunction to stop any action going on at the city, which is what wound up happening 10 years ago that precipitated the start of this anyway. The fact of the matter is, any member of the public has that right as well to file any of those same things to compel the county and city to do the same thing, which is kind of where I don't think it's necessarily a threat, but it's wide open as far as why Mr. Paulson's here, to be perfectly honest, is to make that known that that's something they're considering. So with that, there's one other, I mean, I've talked to a couple of other counties in the last few days about how they've handled things through association. And as far as citations, I guess we historically have sent it saying, you're in violation. This has been forwarded on to the state's attorney for prosecution. At which point, when I should note, when a violation is sent on to the state's attorney for prosecution, essentially, I, as a zoning officer, find myself in the role as the arresting officer, to which conversations need to be held with the state's attorney. And there have been a few conversations that Luke didn't respond to things after that. Well, that's why. Is that when there's something like that, there's something like that going on, an injunction or something like that, you need to speak with the attorney. That said,
You'd be the complainant.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, not
in
you.
that case.
Yes, the complainant would. In the end, though, one of the things that was brought up is that we could treat these more like a ticket, as in the would write and order the fine be paid or appealed to the zoning board. And so I'll be discussing that with the state's attorney as to whether or not that's an option, but that's basically what I'm left with is any of those options. And frankly, I kind of want to know too. I mean, I probably need to continue, I need to continue enforcing the ordinance as far as I'm aware.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, quick question. You say citations. So what are the citations you've been issuing?
Here, it would say.
It's not a mandatory court appearance.
It's not, well, I mean, it's up to,
They have to wear a bracelet or something?
no, no. It's along the lines of, zoning officer went out and reviewed, as you're aware, permit, expired in May. It just says, any use of the above described property for, crushing or mining prior to issuance of a CUP is a violation. I have to cite the section of the ordinance or I have to describe what the violation is, any corrective action. In a case where there is no corrective action, then it's to note, as you're aware, past notice is a violation in accordance with section of the ordinance. Each violation carries a maximum penalty of a $500 fine and up to 30 days in jail. This will be forwarded on to the Codington County State's Attorney for prosecution, including any legal remedies deemed fit to cease operations without a permit. The point is, that's generally what we've been listing in the other ones.
It's a class 2 misdemeanor.
Yeah,
Okay, I guess my point is, so in reviewing this, they mined the setback. You notified them of the violation, and from what I learned at the meeting, they went and corrected that fairly quickly.
they did about 30 days. Yeah,
So the setback issue was
done. Yeah.
okay. I understood the whole load haul agreement wasn't in place, but now we find out that they always had it with the city for the two roads. It's just whatever you said, 400, 600 feet of that road getting to the Third Avenue.
Right now it is, yeah. The MOU was in place. When did you guys go through that?
I can't remember if it was
was
last year or
last
the year
year,
before.
I
I think
think.
it was just last year.
Bottom line is it wasn't there before, but the reality was that wasn't a citation that we had on that.
That's what I was gonna correct, is
Okay.
that, if I may, is that it hasn't been, that MOU has not been on for forever. Okay, I mean, it's for a long amount of time. It just went on last year.
The third part, it talks about the berms, but at the meeting, the berms weren't really an issue.
The berms weren't at the time. Originally it was trees. Trees were in place originally when that permit was issued. And somewhere in the, after 2020, those trees were removed, which makes it more visible from the interstate at this point. But the
So-
bottom line is, since it was found after the permit had expired, I really didn't see that as a thing that needed to be addressed, to be perfectly honest. So what was left afterwards was, they reclaimed the 65 feet as well as the road itself in roughly 5 weeks, maybe 4, in that amount of time. 3 to 1, if I had it to do over again, I'd probably do a little bit of a gentler slope because it's still pretty steep, but they did what I asked. In fact, it's better than a 3 to 1. The other one is the reclamation. However, that was a thing that, they just need to file a reclamation plan so that we could follow it, react to it. And then with their permit, they did so, and in reviewing the permit, frankly, the board issued the permit relaxing that requirement of 5 acres, turning it into, I think it was 10 or 12, if I remember right, in looking at it. So the bottom line is that wound up being relaxed on it. The real arm on this has been in reference to continuing to haul or in some way, shape, or form operate after being ordered to stop. That's basically what the crux of it was.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I sit on the planning board and the joint jurisdiction board as well. I've been on that board since day one, about 16 years now. And generally speaking, what you can see the documentation that we have, or Luke has, for what we have gone through with this situation. Now, we've had other situations like this where Luke has, you know, cited something that's not right. Generally speaking, it's corrected. You know, they'll come in, they'll meet with us at a board meeting and we'll tell them this is what needs to be corrected in order for you to continue operating, and they do. Now, it all depends a lot of times on the personalities that you're working with. Some people ignore any suggestions or laws or ordinance, whatever. And these are the individuals that cause a lot of problems. And I think that this is what we're dealing with right here. You know, as I mentioned at the meeting the other night, who in the world would buy property with a gravel pit on it and not check before they buy that property whether it was permitted and the permit was illegal? I mean, that kind of tells you, you know, what we're dealing with here. But Luke has been, everything that is here has been brought before our board, and we have had a chance to review and act on it. And so I'm just backing up what Luke is saying.
I'm not, yeah, and I agree with you, Commissioner Johnson, on one thing that we have to remember is that we have county ordinances that are in place for a specific reason. That's to protect property, it's to protect our townships, it's to protect our roads. If Luke is out writing citations and there's no repercussions for those citations, what's the point of even issuing the citations? You know, if we're not going to follow through, and I'm not faulting the state's attorney's office or anybody else on this, because it sounds like an agreement was made and that's fine. But if we're sitting here looking at, you know, how do we want you to move forward with this? It's an ordinance. We want you to cite them and we want them prosecuted. Because we have county ordinances in place for that purpose, to protect Codington County. That's like the city of Watertown writing a junk citation, but there's no repercussions if you don't clean up your yard. What's the point? So, you know, we've got to hold the feet to the fire on this stuff, and no road haul agreement, and we're still hauling. So, I mean, we're still beating up the roads.
Mr. Chair. So I'm glad what you just said is spot on for what I'm trying to get at. And the biggest point that I'm trying to make here, I guess, one of the things I guess that really bother me is the blatant disregard for the violations. They're written violations, or they make the violations, they're written citation, and they just continue to do. It's like it doesn't matter. And that's the part that bothers me. And I guess one question that I have is, are there monetary fines that go with these citations?
I'll tell you that you referenced it with the standpoint of the misdemeanor. Historically, what I described is how we've always treated things. I've spoken with some other counties about our jurisdictions that they will order the fine upfront and do it that way. And frankly, I will get with the state's attorney and make sure that she agrees with that. But this violation that I have from Friday, that's what we'll wind up doing.
Well, I think it's still they still have the opportunity to plead not guilty.
Exactly. Yep.
So,
and that gives the ability to appeal either to court or to the Board of Adjustment.
Right.
Is what I'm planning. But again, I'm not going to lone wolf that. I've got to speak with our state's attorney and make sure that I'm going down the right path. So don't take that as I'm doing that yet.
No, we just need to make sure that we follow up with that.
Just
Commissioner
two
Gable.
questions. One, Mr. Paulson mentioned the annexation rules and the contiguousness. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'd rather not, because I work for First District, but I will. I'll tell you in my experience, I work with 70 some communities in 11 counties. I've been asked this question multiple times. There was a Dollar General kitty corner from the city of Howard, same situation. Ultimately, thankfully, they were able to figure out a way to do it. But kitty corner, there are multiple court cases that specify contiguity. And again, please, zoning guy, not attorney. that needs to be substantially contiguous with the city limits. My advice has been, in the time that I've been working, 18 years, has been, if it's kitty corner, it's not substantially contiguous. That even goes for when I was working with, like, doing a similar gig with the city of Watertown through First District when there was an annexation on the southeast side of town, wound up annexing it with only right of way adjacent. My recommendation was that, but it was done. And truth be told, there have been no ramifications to it. So nobody took it to court either. So I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is my recommendation would be no. That doesn't mean they have to follow it. And it also doesn't mean that I'm 100% right, but I know that that's been consistently what I see. And that's what I would recommend, is that it's not kitty corner.
And ultimately, just to clarify that, the ultimate charging decision lies with our state's attorney, right?
Yeah.
So if there's an agreement and she decides not to prosecute these cases, then
Yeah. Well, and then
that's her call.
Yeah, and on annexation, that'd be a thing that would wind up being either referred or challenged in court, as far as annexation, being able to annex. Now, what does it do? A good question. What does it do once they annex? As far as our previous violations, which is ultimately kind of where we find ourselves in this question. What do we do? Well, I mean, it goes back to my previous comment. I mean, ultimately, in a lot of cases, it's been said the ultimate goal is for compliance, and it'll likely be, I'm armchairing here, but I mean, there's a chance it would be seen that, well, at this point, they've found an entity that they can comply with if they've annexed by the time they go in front of judge. But I'm also armchairing that. I don't know what would wind up happening.
Then the other question I had, Mr. Chair, was, on so there's an MOU with the township. And I get that the J&J sees that kind of like in place of a road, like good enough, as opposed to a road haul agreement, or what?
Not on that section of road though, that we're
Okay.
discussing.
Okay.
Yeah, and the truth is, the way we do those is that they need a road haul agreement or documentation from the road authority that no such agreement is necessary. And that was essentially what I got from the city of Watertown with regards to the portions that have an MOU. Is that, hey, this is, for all practical purposes, what we have. We don't need something like that. I would still need a letter, because that's what we did on a gravel pit with Endries's on the south end of Watertown. But that'd be relatively easy, as staff can write that in a short time and have that on record, and that's simple. So it wouldn't take long.
That stretch of road on Third Avenue between 31st Street and right before the bridge there that has curb and gutter now, that's, city's taken that over, I assume. Is that all city roadway along?
On Third or 31st?
Third and 31st.
Yeah.
If you go west on Third Avenue there to the
Right.
bridge on Third Avenue.
It is a part of
It's all gravel's all done, and it has curb and gutter there for a good portion of that now.
It is a part of the memorandum of Travis, you probably know better.
I don't
than
know
Everywhere
who's
you were
doing
there.
that project, so.
From 19th all the way down to 212 is all under the understanding, and is the city's responsibility.
The whole thing.
Correct. From 19th Avenue, that whole 2 miles. Yep.
Wow, okay.
The
Guess I
Rainbow
didn't know
Road.
that. Yep.
Down to there, yep.
Yep. I guess I guess a follow-up is, I mean, since all these violations have been written, I mean, a police officer doesn't go out for the day and write 15 violations for speeding and then not turn them in. You know, at the end of the day, they're turned in for prosecution. And I guess that's my question that I still don't know is answered, is, are all of these being turned in for, for prosecution? I mean, are we, because if not, they're a piece of paper in my.
And what goes on those is that we cite them and turn them over to the state's attorney's office, and then it goes into the queue for prosecution of the rest of the work that goes on there.
She's going to review. I assume she's reviewing them.
With
and,
along
you know,
with her
to-
case.
To make a charging decision. And
Okay.
So I know that's not a direct answer.
No, it's not, but
that-
it
Without
is.
her being
It
here, we
is,
don't-
is
we
that,
don't know
so
what
you,
it is.
all of these violations that have been written, you have turned over.
Yes,
to the-
yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
does answer my question.
Yeah.
So.
And once again, that gets back to my point that ultimately, if a case is referred to her office for prosecution, she will take that, look at it and make a charging decision on whether or not to move forth with that.
Correct. Yep.
So now what Luke was saying, that sometimes we're after compliance more than punishment, right?
Mhm.
Correct.
So, you know, ultimately that's her decision. Where they're at right now, I don't know.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, compliance is the ultimate goal. Obviously, that's the goal.
Right.
And that's where I am pushing for, prosecution of these is because it appears that the violator is blatantly just disregarding them
Right.
and continuing to do what they've been,
Well, and I assume that if that continues, Luke will continue to issue citations.
I would hope
Right.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's,
That
Luke
would be
has
the
better things to
directive.
do. I mean, his schedule is extremely full. So
Well,
it appears to me that Luke is doing his job, and I appreciate that. So he's
Thank you.
he's doing what he's been hired to do. So I appreciate that. But the one last question that I do have, and maybe you can answer, is that I brought up, I think, before you came up here. So is my understanding correct that if the city does annex this piece of property, and these are all kind of in the queue to be prosecuted, once the city takes over, are those no longer valid? Is that all gone?
Unfortunately, it's a legal question that I can't answer. In my experience, typically those wind up being dismissed in some way, shape, or form.
And
That's probably the best way I can answer it, is just in my experience, that's ultimately what's
That's at the
happened.
state's attorney's office.
yes, yep.
We'll
But
refer you
that's,
there.
as I look through things here and study things, that was kind of my understanding, is that this all goes away.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily that the fact that the violations occurred, it's more about the efficacy of prosecution.
Correct. Yeah.
Because again, going back to what are you after here? And that's true. I mean,
But again, you still have the offense that occurred.
yep.
So, yeah.
Right.
I don't want to drag that down.
No,
Okay.
Yep.
Do you
I
have any more
appreciate,
questions,
no,
Mr.
I
President?
don't. I appreciate the
Okay.
time, and I appreciate Luke's input and the job that he's doing on this. So,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
okay, thanks.
Right. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, guys.
All right, good discussion on that this morning. Let's move on to the monthly reports, and we'll do the auditor's report first. Good morning, Brenda.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So with the 2026 primary election behind us and everything went well, we are now moving into the 2026 governor runoff election. Ballots have been ordered. We are supposed to begin absentee voting this Friday, the 12th, barring again, we are able to obtain our ballots. So that's kind of where that's all at. Other than that, working on the 2027 budgets, getting them entered to work on the provisional budget. And then you will be hearing those hearings in the month of July. And I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just been busy taking care of one election and starting a new one. So if anyone has any questions.
Questions, commissioners?
So the election went off very well and everything, there was like literally very, very few errors, if any. All very good.
It went very well.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Let's move on to the Director of Equalization. Good morning, Shauna.
Morning, Shauna.
Okay.
Yeah, and with that, just one more thing, since you brought that up, Tyler, I would like to just thank the people that were up here helping feed ballots into the machine that night and the county employees that participated in that. They really made that a smooth process. So
Yes,
maybe turn the
ditto.
mic on.
I should have.
Things went very well.
Really got a list there.
I promise it'll be sweet, short and sweet. We have all of our 2026 assessment year stuff completed, sent into Department of Revenue. We've gotten our factors back and we are basically ready to just complete our 2026 assessment year. The appraisers are back out at the lake, continuing their field work. They'll be there through the summer, probably through October. The appraisers and I attended conference last week. We had a workshop on OHE hearings, which we don't have any this year, thankfully. The DOR went over all the new legislation that takes effect July 1st. And then we actually had Minnehaha County Commission Assistant came in and spoke to all of us about TIF districts and the new laws and stuff taking effect on TIF districts this year, which doesn't really affect the county only as if they have overlapping TIFs. Now the county will have a say in that TIF. We do have one overlapping TIF right now. And that is on Willow Creek Drive, just because the first TIF was to create the road. And then now it's been many, many, many years. Now it's finally getting stuff done to it. And so we have one. And what that happens when a TIF is overlapped is the first TIF that was on there has the 20 years to finish. And then the second TIF will take over another 20 years. So then they'd be 40 years TIF instead of just one. But I don't see that happening anywhere else, but you never know. But that's really the only thing there for our office. And then I just want to let you guys know, our vehicles this year, we have gotten a lot of calls and county offices needing vehicles. Our expedition is basically down because of rust. They cannot fix it.
Because of rust? Is that what you said?
Yes, this type, we've already fixed the back hatch. It basically all completely rusted out. But it's the running boards. And I'm like, you can't just put new, and they said no, because basically whatever's holding the running boards is rusting out. I've cut my leg on it a couple times, so we don't generally give that one out. We do have money in our budget to get a new vehicle. However, we don't have enough to get a new expedition or something like that. And in the past, we have always paid basically for half of it, and then other county offices pitch in, and then that's the vehicle that everybody kind of uses, and then our budget just takes care of everything else. I've sent out an email and I've gotten a couple of replies, so we are just gonna kind of start looking into that right now. Nothing set, we haven't went looking, just letting you guys know that that's probably coming down the pipe.
Yeah. Great.
Yep. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Let's move on to the Community Services Director, Sarah Faust. Good morning, Sarah.
All right, Sarah.
Good morning. Okay, I have my print off of my both directions here.
Oh, I'm passing it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Andy? You have it online. All right. Okay. Good morning. So to start with my chart and demographics, you can see our numbers are down a little bit in May, but I would point out that we are down a staff member as well. So although we're down, our office has been extremely busy with the staffing that we have. We've really seen an increase in economic need the last month. We've had multiple homeless families coming through our doors, as well as a big increase for rent and utilities. I think people are just really feeling the pinch. And also utility assistance is done for this summer. So there are some energy assistance options, but they're much harder to use in the summer. And so we are screening a lot more people. We have had to, everything goes off of our procedure, our policy and procedure, and we have helped a few people that have qualified for our services. They have to have a certain income level, but not be too high of an income level, agree to a lien repayment plan, and also case management with our office. And so we have helped a few people with rent and utilities, as well as a homeless family with hotel until they could get into Watertown Cares. So that's some of that. On the back side of it, this is updated. We've changed some of the information I shared some of it last month, but I just wanted to see, is this information that's helpful for you? We have the completed services, kind of what we're doing with people, the way we're seeing people, whether it's walk-in or by appointment or all of those, and then the demographics. So we have gender, race, and age for demographics.
I like it.
Is there anything else that would be helpful for you to know that you can think of? I know it's kind of, you don't know what you don't know, but if you,
Well,
No, it looks good to me.
okay. Yeah.
So just one question.
Yeah.
So the year to date time spent on services on the first page,
Mhm.
do those categories match up with the the completed services on the second, on the top of the second page. Is that, they're similar.
Yeah, so it's the number of contacts versus the
No,
time
yeah, I
spent.
get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
yes,
So I was
but
like,
yeah,
so-
that does.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to keep it
Yeah.
apples to apples. Okay.
Yeah. So it should line up that the higher the number there. Yep. Yes. So, and then just the other reports for Medicaid reimbursement last month, we received, we received $956.20. For the grant reimbursement, we received $2,083.15 in May for those. So, we continue to work on increasing that amount to make sure that we're covering the CHW positions in our office for that. We have completed the interviews for both the community care coordinator and the pretrial case manager, which we did those yesterday. Hope to finalize those positions by the end of the week and have those, be able to announce those positions.
How many applicants did we get for that?
I have to look at Natalie. We had about, I would say, eight to
Eight?
10 for the pretrial and 10 to 15 for the community care coordinator, I would say.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, right in that range. So, yeah, it was we had really good candidates again, very difficult decisions. We are never short on applicants or good candidates, which is, I'm very grateful for that. But I don't like making those decisions though either. So, okay, the South Dakota Housing Development Authority has released the new request for proposals for transitional housing. That's the application that we did last fall, and then the federal government ended up pulling that and reverting to the previous thing. This time around, they are sticking with the initial request for proposals that they did in the fall, which means that there will be new funding available for transitional housing. Watertown would be eligible for that, and so I need to talk with the other service providers in town, but there's a chance we would be coming back to the county to have the county be the one facilitating that transitional housing at this point. So I just wanted to let you know that. I have talked to Joe, the head of that at the South Dakota Housing Authority, and our proposal last time was very well ranked and would have been funded if the funding would have remained in place that way. So, we would like to have a staff training this Friday morning, which means that we won't be available for appointments, but we will have our phone with us. And so that would just to let you know that we'll be able to take calls. We'll be back in the afternoon. So we'll be available again in the afternoon. This last month, I joined Christy Lakai over at the Heritage Museum for a presentation on the history of county welfare programs. She had a great attendance there. There were over 50 people there, and it was a great program, very interesting, and was fun to join in on that. I also presented at Rotary about some of the things that are happening through the work that we're doing. And then the South Dakota Housing Authority Conference is next week. I had hoped to go, but it's not working out with my schedule, so Paige is going to attend. It's one of the things that because we're a spot for the coordinated entry services, which is the homeless services, they do really request that we have a staff member there. They prefer that just so that we can stay informed on housing programs that are happening. So Paige is planning to attend that conference. For the systems of care pieces, our interagency meeting is this Thursday at 10 o'clock at the Fallout Shelter. The discussion will be all around transportation, and Terry from Community Transit will be the speaker, and there was lots of questions from community partners on transportation, so that'll be a good discussion. We are promoting a summer of family activities this summer. I'm excited for that. Codington Connects is really promoting that. There's a bingo card and a park challenge card, and we really just want families to do fun things together. It's all free things, and how families can have some good times together that doesn't cost anything. And so that information is all on the Codington Connects website and Facebook page.
Splash into summer event was a bit.
Yeah, it went really well. We ended up, they gave away over 900 meals. So we estimate there were around 1,000 people. Thank you for the drone footage was fantastic. We appreciate it. It was really a well-attended event. We had 36 partners that had activities there for families. They did a great job. So yeah, it's a great way to promote families as well as our partners with Codington Connects. with that. And we have the date set for next year, same time, same place, next year. Yes. Our centralized location, it is progressing more slowly than I would like it to be, but we are looking at a fall timeline for all of that to come in, and hopefully by next month, we'll be able to make some announcements and have that information in place. Our childcare team is meeting this afternoon. We're going to finalize the childcare survey results that we received and then identify some priorities. So we'll have information for the community after that. And as always, check out check out Codington Connects at codingtonconnects.com for more information.
Great.
Quick question, you
Commissioner
said the facility is it under construction now?
Not yet.
Not
Still
yet.
waiting.
Still with,
Yeah, but we have a timeline with projected. So,
are you able to set up a tour?
yes, I,
You'll love the tour.
yeah.
You'll love it.
I'll love it.
You'll love it.
Yeah, yes, I'll get in touch.
That's where.
Sorry, yeah. I will get in touch with everyone and set up tours. Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
thank
Okay,
you, sir.
thank you.
All right, let's move on to action to approve the auditor's account with treasurer and note monthly register of deeds fees. Brent.
Okay, so you have that information in front of you. The auditor's account with the treasurer on the last day of May. The settlement, all the money that we counted and was in her possession. Then the auditor's account with the treasurer. We ended up, well, and I can tell the schools, townships, cities and towns, those custodial funds are on the bottom. You also have the amount in there for our, jail bond, kind of where that's at, the jail build and the bond redemption fund. So in the end, the amount is $53,643,031.03. And I gotta grab my register of deeds. Sorry about that. The amount at the end of the month was $35,908.95.
For a motion to approve those
What's to approve?
Second it.
by McElhaney, second by Schwer. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to item number 11. This is discussion possible action to approve hiring a facilities tech 1-2 for the extension center complex due to a resignation. HR up here, Natalie, good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. Steve is out, so I will fill in and give you the info on this. We did have a retirement. It will be the end of July, but we would like to post this position and start the process of trying to get somebody hired. There might be just a slight overlap, but Mullengraf indicated his budget would be able to cover if there was. So we posted as a tech 1 or 2, just depending on who we could find with the experience. The retirement is a 2. So the starting wage for the 1 would be $21.96 an hour, and a starting wage for a 2 would be $25.61.
Second it.
Motion by Gable, second by Johnson. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Item number 12 is action to approve a change order and pay application to Prom Construction for County Road 7 Bridge Rehab Project.
I think this is the first time I've ever seen a change order that we get money back.
Yes,
I've never seen that before.
that's a plus.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Yes, this is for that bridge project on our County Road 7-5 or 460th Avenue on the east side of town. Pram Construction repaired the east portion of the bridge. The change order, which obviously already took place because the project is completed, was where they did not have to place asphalt for a dig out section. We, as county ourselves, put in regrind. Since we are going to reclaim that entire portion of the road, it didn't pay to put fresh asphalt down. So this is only a temporary solution until that road is completely ground down and reclaimed and then resurfaced later this year. So we did save $7,000 $370 with this change order. And then they're requesting payment with that savings of $85,469.70.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Gable, second by McElhaney. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a note on the agenda, item number 13 is that Juneteenth is coming up and the Codington County offices will be closed that day, June 13th.
It's Friday, June 19th.
Friday,
Next
June
Friday.
19th.
What is it now? The 19th?
The 19th,
June-
yes, next Friday, June
Okay.
19th.
Whatever.
June.
If it was the 13th and the 19th, we'd have two.
Yeah. Juneteenth.
I think I almost did that one time.
All right. So the 19th, the offices will be closed. Also note, 2026 primary election post-election audit will be held on Monday, June 15th at 10 a.m. Brenda, do you have anything on that?
Well, that is barring that we have no recounts at this point. No one has filed for a recount. So yes, then that is the process that we need to do to check the tabulator's accuracy.
And
Do we
if
still
so,
need, do we need to meet here?
No, I have 3 individuals that will come in and do and perform that. But it's open to the public. If you want to show up and watch the process, you are more than welcome.
and
I
what-
think I'll pass.
That's on Monday, June 15th at 10 a.m. if it is needed. Number 15, action to approve the abatement applications.
And today,
16, action to approve claims for payment.
You do
Yes,
have-
those.
yes, I have a whole packet. There was a couple things that I kind of picked out of here. Watertown Transit asked for their yearly budget amount of 35,000. And then the Zoological Society also made their request for their budgeted amount of 26,000. The emergency manager, oh, should have it, thought you did. I
Don't have it.
They're on the screen.
Anyway.
It's small.
Yeah, no. So with that as well, the emergency manager fund paid out an amount of $115,006.60 hazard mitigation grant funding to South Dakota Department of Public Safety. That was inaccurate. That needs to be changed to the Sioux Rural Water System. We were just a pass through, so there was really nothing. It's just in and out for the water tower project over by Kransberg. So the total amount of county claims is $676,581.74.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by McElhaney, second by Gable. Any discussion? That was 676,581.74. Is that right?
Yep, 676,581.74.
All
Correct.
right.
$100 million.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.
You will have more next week though, because we had a very early deadline, so you'll be making up for it.
Anything for budget supplements?
Nothing.
Any action to approve personnel changes? We have
Yes.
a bunch of them.
So this is, and I don't know how you want me to approach this. These are our yearly annual step increases that will go into effect in July. This is after a satisfactory review by the department head. So do you just want me to
Commissioner.
list the department? Do you want me to go through each
I don't know that
name?
we need to go through each name. Commissioners, you have them in your packet.
Yes, and they'll be all in the minutes. They'll be
If-
listed.
If you want to just take a look at those quick, and if you have any questions on them, let us know and we can take that individual one. If not, we'll take them all in one motion to approve.
I move that we take them all as presented to us in the packet.
I'll
Motion
second it.
in a second by Schwer. Any discussion or concerns on any of those?
Just people understand these are the annual step, July step.
Those will be in the minutes if people want to see what they are. So
They'll be listed individually.
if not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. It's a quick way of doing that. I like that. Action to approve travel requests. We have a few of them in there.
Yes, you have 2. Director of Equalization staff going to a meeting and also community service office staff going to a conference.
Budgeted items.
Don't take the expedition.
Yeah, don't take the expedition.
Motion to approve.
Motion by McElhaney, second
I'll
by
agree.
Gable. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Commissioners, a possible quorum of commissioners could be in attendance at this week. Anybody have anything going on?
So we got the kickoff of the South Dakota State Fire School on Thursday. I believe they're doing their water fights like normal. Sure, usually sees a lot of people up there. It could be a coin.
Government affairs tomorrow with the chamber, but that's.
Government affairs at the chamber, could be a quorum. Okay.
Usually it's one or two of us.
Okay. All right, let's move on if nobody has anything else. Anything for old business, number 21, old business.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can give a quick update.
Commissioner Gable.
Yeah, I can give a quick update on the just the change orders for the jail. Just so some of our change orders are positive. We do get money back. Most of them are not, of course, but just give the state. So we in the two contingency pots. It's kind of small on the screen, but if you look at the bottom there, we have two. The one on the 1,400,000 and some, that's owner's contingency. We haven't dipped into that very much at all. And then the other one, the 672,000, that's the amount left in construction contingency. That's where most of the change orders come out of. So anyway, that's what's left. The amounts we started off with were in owner contingency 1.465 million roughly, and then just under $1 million in construction contingency. So you can see we've gone through. We still just in construction contingency, we still have 672,000 left. So anyway, and the overall amount is over 2 million contingency. So just to give folks an idea of what's going on at the jail. So a lot of little, adjustments as you go through the project is basically what this is. So
Commissioner Gable, has the rain slowed them down on the project?
I don't know for sure. They can still do some, I assume they can do some interior work. I didn't check on it yesterday, I guess, because I know we had some heavy rains in the morning. Typically that makes it pretty mucky out there. So that does cause some changes on the exterior work, but now that they're starting to get the roof decking in place, they can probably do a little bit more inside. So
It looks nice.
yeah. So
See, they're working on the roof, adding on.
yeah, so most of areas B and C are decked in. So then they should be that's probably partly weather dependent, erecting the precast panels on area A. So that's the main housing area. So
Right. All right. Thanks for the update. Anything else for old business? Anything for new business? Nothing for new business. All right. Anything for the open public comments? Is there any public comments this morning? See anybody online? Anything for public comments? Seeing none. Commissioner comments before we wrap up?
I'm leaving for Pier in a little bit. Try to dodge the hailstones.
Oh, don't say that.
That's South Dakota Retirement Board meeting.
Okay, drive safe. Thank you for your service on that board. We do have a need to go into executive session this morning for the purposes of personnel. So this would be a subsection 1 and contract negotiations, which is number 3. So we'll look for a motion to go into exec.
Move.
Motion by Gable, second by Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are into executive session. We do not